Hello and welcome to Odds on Champions League, second leg, last 16 round, 4 last games to finish this round in the Champions League, and we have our dream team, Dani, Fisichella, Alvaro, Romeo. Hello guys, with a very positive weekend for you, both in Serie A, in La Liga. You are nailing also ACCAs in the European football. So, Dani and Alvaro and everyone, I hope you are ready to analyze with us these 4 games. So, remember to leave your comments, of course, press the like and subscribe. And now, let's go on with the show. Exactly. Well, let's start with the games we have on Tuesday. Of course, Man City, Leipzig, and we have already one comment that I think is very interesting. Rick Hall is telling us if anyone is going to put a small amount of money on Leipzig, because we have the odds for Leipzig to win is around 9.0. You have to be creative if you want to back Man City for this game, 1.4. Also, I guess, Alvaro, you have to be very optimistic if you are a Leipzig fan, or I don't know if something else, to put your money on Leipzig. Remember that they played some years ago and it was a 6-3. Do you give any chance to Leipzig in this game, Alvaro?
Look, I think that Leipzig may have a chance. I'm not saying no to that. The last 20 minutes in Leipzig-Manchester City, in that game, they were kind of concerning for Manchester City because Leipzig dominated them so well. And on the other hand, Manchester City is not having a great season, even though they are alive in the FA Cup, even though they are alive in the Champions League, even though they are 5 points off Arsenal, but they haven't lost the Premier League title yet. But I think that this Manchester City is more grey than ever. It's not very entertaining. Sometimes you can see that there are some patterns of game that are missing. Manchester City used to be very vibrant, and they used to be very spectacular with quick passes. They don't do that anymore. I don't think that they are favoring quick transitions either with the style of play they are showing this season. And I think that Leipzig, they are a very dangerous package. In the Bundesliga, they are in the Champions League spots. They've got a plus 20 goal difference, which is something that I always appreciate coming into knockout tournaments, because that tells me that this side is capable of having very good days in which they can score many goals. In fact, last weekend in the Bundesliga, they won by 3-0. And I think that, yes, Leipzig may have a chance, but they have to take stakes here. And I'm going to take it for Manchester City. I mean, but if you take stakes for Leipzig, or you think that they have a chance, I respect it, because in the last 20 minutes of Leipzig-Manchester City, Leipzig showed a really good possession-based football, and they were attacking constantly. But anyway, I'm going to go for Manchester City for a few reasons. Number one, because they play at home. Number two, because I've got the reason that sometimes, the feeling, that sometimes they are making sure that they get the right result, but they don't use all their energy in games, as it happened the other day at Selhurst Park. They were probably thinking a little bit on the game against Leipzig. Also because Kevin De Bruyne rested, and he's going to be a rested player against Leipzig, and he's so important. So I'm going to back Manchester City for this. I'm going to go for the following markets. Number one, Haaland to score 157. It's good, but maybe the return is not good enough for you. 157 at the end of the day is not a lot. But Haaland to score 2 goals or more, a brace or more, that pays 433. And I think that they sign Erling Haaland for these kind of games. So in this game, I can go for the individual market. And my favorite could be Haaland to score a brace or more goals. But otherwise, I'm going to go for the halftime, full-time market for Manchester City. I think that they can win the first half, and then they keep the win in the second half. That pays 205, and it is very similar to Manchester City scoring in both halves, which pays 205 as well.
Okay, Alvaro is going for Man City. We have Adam, Dani going for both teams to score. Do you think Leipzig can damage Man City?
They can if they play as they did in the second half, when they were really good at changing the complexity of the game, and they suffocated at times Manchester City in their own half. Look, Leipzig, we know they are a dangerous side, although they will miss Nkunku, who's their top scorer and was the top scorer last season of the Bundesliga. They're unbeaten in 5 in the Champions League, Leipzig, and only lost 2 games since the restart. It is a team that has been transformed by Marco Rose. They keep the ball better. they press higher, and they make the most of the wide spaces, where sometimes Manchester City could be susceptible of some mistakes. Look, they are not short of goal scorers. They score with 17 different players in Bundesliga, and Werner is having a very good season. 13 goals in all competition. But we do remember the Timo Werner playing in the Premier League. Can he make it against Manchester City? Of course, as I said, missing Nkunku. It's a big blow. At the weekend, they won Leipzig. They won 3-0, but I think the scoreline doesn't really represent what the game was. It was much closer. Mönchengladbach missed a penalty, had a few chances. So Leipzig, it is a team that likes to attack, keeps the ball, but I think they also do concede. And whereas Manchester City are nowhere near the spectacular side that they have been in recent years, they got a bit of momentum. 8 games unbeaten, 4 wins in a row. Generally speaking, they are playing better. And they won at the weekend 1-0 against Palace, a place where they normally struggle. They often struggle during the years. But the game was very similar to the one they lost at Nottingham Forest a few weeks ago. There are so many chances, and they should have scored more. So they had so many chances in the first half in Germany as well. They won all the last 9 Champions League games at home, Manchester City, scoring at least 2 goals in all of the last 9 games. They are unbeaten in 23 at the Etihad. I think if they manage to keep the ball better, hence defend with the ball a little bit better, they should be winning this one by default comfortably, as Alvaro said. I do like the Alvaro tip, but I think I'm going to be a little bit cautious here, and I'm going to go for under 3 goals, 191. Let's not forget, these teams, when Manchester City is in form, the opposition don't see much of the ball, so they do defend with the ball, and they also have a solid defense. Leipzig have got one of the best defenders in the Champions League, who's Guardiola as well. I think they're going to be losing this one. I think Manchester City are going to go through, but I cannot see scoring far too many goals. Under 3 goals, 191. Like, look, if he finishes 3-0 for Manchester City, which is a very large score for the Champions League group, for the stage of the Champions League we are, you get your money back after all.
All right, you see both teams, both guys, Man City to go through, to win. No surprises here. We have Jose Miguel also tipping a no surprise, Man City Asian handicap -1. This is obviously going up with your odds, because the odds for Man City to win are very low. Only 1.4, and we have to say also, Dani was highlighting the strength of Man City playing at home. We have to say, Alvaro, that Leipzig, they've improved their away form with Rose. They were so poor at the beginning of the season and even last year, and now they are better when they play away, even if the Etihad, of course, is another task.
Definitely, because I think that the Leipzig is the kind of side that is suited to play away from home, really. At the end of the day, they are very good in transitions. They've got very fast players, and they've got some attacking-minded midfielders who can actually deliver the ball forward to the strikers. So I think that it's no surprise that they improved their form away from home, even though they lost against Dortmund on the 3rd of March, 1. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, before losing to Dortmund away from home, they were 9 games away from home unbeaten. So yeah, that tells us that they are a dangerous side. As I said before, I'm going to take part for Manchester City. I'm going to take their side. But on the other hand, I understand that some people will back Leipzig because they are the kind of side that presents a real challenge for Manchester City, because they've got many players who can take one-on-ones, because they've got many players who can actually be fast in the counter-attack, and then because they've got a certain accuracy when it comes to finishing the actions that I haven't seen very often in the Champions League. So yes, they can be dangerous, of course, but as I said before, my bet here is Manchester City.
Well, they were dangerous, for instance, at Bernabeu this season. They lost 6-3, as I mentioned before, 2 years ago. In the Etihad, Man City Leipzig is still an open tie, 1-1, but it's also very open. The next one we have on Tuesday, a lot of emotions. I'm sure Dani Fisichella is already nervous because we have Porto Inter, slightly advantage for Inter, winning 1-0 in the first leg with Lukaku scoring the goal. But Dani, this Inter is struggling a lot when they are traveling. We are showing it, or we are seeing it in the Serie A. They lost to Spezia 2-1. I'm sure you expect Inter to suffer in the Dragao.
A lot. and I'm not really optimistic about it, to be fair, for what Inter has shown us recently. And, the away form you mentioned is appalling. They lost 7 games in all competition, conceded 29 goals away, third worst away defense in Serie A. Yes, they lost to Spezia the weekend. They looked... in terms of our performance, it wasn't even too bad. They had almost 30 shots on target. They missed a penalty in the first half with Lautaro Martinez. But again, they look like in some moments of the game, they weren't really there. They did lack the conviction. They lack the consistency. And then they ended up conceding 2 very stupid goals, very silly mistakes in the first goal. In the second one is a penalty for a foul by Dumfries. Once again, they don't seem to be at the races when it comes to playing away, and especially playing away against small teams that like to defend. So, yes, probably it should have been a draw, but it's happened far too many times. And obviously, Inzaghi is under huge criticism for many reasons. First of all, because sometimes the player seems to do whatever they want. For example, the incident of the penalty. It's clear that Lukaku wanted to take it, and he is the penalty taker of Inter, but Lautaro stepped in and missed it, and Lukaku was left puzzled. It happened last year as well. Then secondly, there is a reason, the question like, why they cannot motivate themselves against small teams and when they play away? Why they can only perform when they play in front of their own crowd and at the San Siro and after a defeat, so they're all fired up? Look, people think Inzaghi might be sacked if Inter doesn't qualify for the quarterfinals. I don't think he will be, but probably whether he goes through or not depends in his future at Inter. I think he's going to leave at the end of the season. Inter should have been much more competitive this season. And what I really am concerned about is that the lack of creativity sometimes they're quite rigid. The partnership Lukaku-Lautaro is not working. Lukaku's been injured a lot of the season, but he's not as sharp as he used to be. So I'm really not optimistic about this one. But on the other hand, Inter have been very consistent against top teams. They beat Barcelona, they beat Porto, they beat Milan twice. In big games, they have delivered. Can they do it away, though? That's the big question. And Porto, of course, they're gonna be used to this sort of pressure. They won the last 4 home games against Italian side: Roma, Juventus, Milan, and Lazio. They knocked them out, all of them. And in the first leg against the San Siro, they were reduced to 10 men. Inter then scored, but they had chances to score beforehand, only for Onana to make few good saves. Look, in the league, they are doing okay. They are -8 from Benfica, lost 2 of the last 4, but they're going to be fired up for this one. If it's a high-scoring game, I think the Inter are going to go out. If it's a low-scoring game, the Italian side probably could edge it. But, I'm not too optimistic. And I'm going to go for an under 2.5 goals here, 193.
Also, Ankur is going for an under 2.5 goals after seeing what we saw in the first leg. I guess we all expect an under, and Dani is not very optimistic with Inter, and so is our audience. Most of the people are going for Porto, and also Sumo, for instance, was reminding us that Porto is very strong against Italian sides. If you want to back, exactly, Dani, you said before the recent history with Porto and Italian teams, and Alvaro, if you want to back Porto to qualify, the odds are brilliant. 3.7 Porto to qualify. Inter to qualify is only 1.3.
They are good, definitely. I think that this is one of the most heavily contested ties in the Champions League right now. Porto-Inter, I think that Inter managed to get a good result in the first leg, but this is not over, not at all. And I see what Daniele wants to explain about Inter's struggles away from home. It's difficult to explain how this can happen because Inter Milan has a decent squad, a strong squad, I would say. But then, away from home, they are not offering anything. And the truth is that in the Champions League, they haven't had a resonant, important, significant win in the Champions League for a while. Because last season, for example, they beat Liverpool 1-0. in the last 16 round, but that win was very quickly diluted by the fact that Inter was out of the Champions League. I mean, it was in a way sadly worthless. And I think that it's been a long time that the Inter hasn't gotten or hasn't achieved a good win away from home in the Champions League. Will it be this time? I tell you what, sometimes it's not for us to say. I think that we are professional enough to know that there are some other markets that are more likely, and we don't have to go always for the full-time result because Porto doesn't give me any guarantee either, to be honest with you. For example, last season Porto was pretty much unbeatable at home, and 2 seasons ago same thing applied. But this season, for example, they have suffered 3 losses at home, one of them being against Bruges, and then another one against Benfica, understandable. Then not long ago, another one. 3 home defeats for Porto at Dragao this season. Maybe it tells us that this Porto side is not as reliable as they were in the past at home. If Dragao is no longer a fortress for many reasons, obviously. And Porto is also 8 points away from Benfica this season. Benfica is going to win the title if nothing changes dramatically. So for this game, personally, I'm going to go for the corners market. I don't feel it is worth going for the full-time result market. And the corners market, minus 0.5 for Porto will be 217. And I think that Porto is going to take definitely at least one more corner than Inter because they have to attack more. So that doubles up your bet. I'm going to stay with that one. But my favorite thing here is the cards market. Look, Porto in the Champions League, they got 22 yellows and 2 reds in 7 games. Inter has also a decent amount of cards, 16 yellows, 1 red. Between them both, they've got 38 yellow cards, 3 red in 7 games, which is an average of 5.8 per game. So why not to think that there will be here over 4.5 cards? That will pay decently, 167, but over 5 cards, which is my favorite market by far for this game, that pays 196. And I think that there is a big chance of this to happen. Why? Because number one, as I said before, statistically and numerically, the games of Inter and the games of Porto in the Champions League, they have had an average of 5.8 cards in the Champions League. And number two, and more importantly, on top of that, we have to add the Dragao factor. Porto needs to win. And we are in a knockout round. And we have seen Porto, for example, when they play for their lives, like against Atletico de Madrid last year, just producing plenty of cards. So I'm going to go for over 4.5 cards, 167, or even over 5 cards, 196.
And number 3, in the first leg, Otavio was sent off. So already, there's been a precedent. And number 4, in the first leg, there's been a bit of a handbags, a bit of a protest between the two teams. There were a few incidents. So yeah, definitely spirits will be running high. So I agree with you, Alv.
We saw last week, Dani, an Italian side playing away and trying to defend a 1-0. It was successful for Milan. Can you see a similar game than the one we saw in London in the Spurs ground?
I think Porto at the moment, they are much more confident than Spurs. Spurs came to that game low confident. They were really, really flat. Porto are more used to the occasion. So Inter cannot just go there and defend. I think Milan did really well because they didn't just defend, but they were able to match Tottenham intensity, although it wasn't very intense at the beginning. And they went for it. In the end, they had the best occasions. Look, Inter needs to go there. Now they need to keep a cool head. Even if they concede the first one, they're obviously still in the game. They do get back Skriniar, who was missing from a couple of games because of an injury. So that could be a boost for them. But really, they need to go there with a cool head, similar to when they went to the Camp Nou to play against Barcelona. Everything was against them and they managed to score 3 goals. But it's gonna be difficult because I could imagine Porto having more of the ball now, and Inter will have to resort to that positioning defending, which they've been good at. But the away form, as I said, 24 goal conceded away in Serie A. It's quite a lot.
Well, we have one Italian side in the quarterfinals. We have Inter that are going to struggle in Do Dragao or fight in Do Dragao. And we have Napoli almost in the quarterfinals. Let's talk about Napoli. Eintracht on Wednesday. We saw another piece of art from Kvaratskhelia at the weekend. There were doubts before the first leg. No, could Napoli show the same level that they are doing the whole season also in the European knockout stages? Well, they went to Frankfurt. It's not easy to go there. Winning 2-0. Dani is almost done for Spalletti's men. Now they just have to wrap up the tie at home. I guess no one can think that there could be a surprise here for Frankfurt. Even if Frankfurt, we've learned it last season, they were really good playing away in Europe, both last season and even this season.
Oh yeah, ask Barcelona, ask West Ham. Of course, Frankfurt were excellent, especially on the road last season. But I think Napoli will have no problems qualifying. I'm not suggesting it's going to be a comfortable or an easy win or a thrashing by Napoli, but Napoli going to be in the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the first time in their history, not only because they are the highest scorer of the Champions League, not only because they're the highest scorer of Serie A, but also for the way they played against Atalanta. They bounced back after the defeat against Lazio, played a very good game, create chances, and it's not easy to play back-to-back, first Lazio and then Atalanta, two teams that are very intense and very well prepared tactically. Against Lazio, against Napoli, the game that Lazio played when they beat them should be studied at school. I mean, if you want to become a manager, because the 4-3-3 of Sarri was so well put together. They kept the lines tight and short. They blocked the inside passing, especially screening Lobotka, and left a lot of spaces on the wings. And then they managed to deal with the crosses or with the cutbacks from Kvaratskhelia and Lozano. However, to do that is only 50% of the plan. Then you need to be able to keep the ball well and wear Napoli out with long possessions and then try and score a goal. Can Eintracht do both phases? I don't think they can. I don't think they got the quality for do it for 90 minutes, as Lazio showed us. In the first leg, Eintracht decided to sit deep a lot, and Napoli very intelligently played the long balls, first time passes to the wings, especially to Lozano, and cut them through anyway. And then in the second half, they were very good at counter-pressing, stole the ball a couple of times, scored. They could have scored more in the end. Look, I think Napoli are gonna win this one, and that's why my tip is Asian handicap -1 for Napoli, 191. I think if they win, obviously if they win by 1, you get your money back. If they win by more than 1, as they did the weekend, you win 191, and I think it's a very good tip. Eintracht, they score in all the away games in the Champions League so far. Last year, as we mentioned, they were better away than at home. The good news for them is that we're going to have the fans with them. Initially, the council and the police of Napoli, they decided it was too dangerous to have the Eintracht fan. Then they appealed and they finally got them back. I think that was ridiculous to just prevent 5,000 people to go and watch the game for potential trouble. So it's good that they are allowed there. And then, the police will do the policing. I mean, that's what they're there for. And I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fine. Let them enjoy. It's going to be a great atmosphere. 1 win in 5 in Bundesliga. So it's the top of the league in Italy against the 6th of the Bundesliga. I think there is not much. I think Eintracht are a good side. There is not much, though. A Napoli, Asian handicap -1 at 191.
And Colomwani, for instance, will be missing for that game. Alvaro, is very hard not to back Napoli. Napoli to win is 1.4. Dan is going for the Asian handicap. Would you go for something similar?
I will go for the combinations. Of course, Colomwani not being there is a blow for Frankfurt because he is the player with more assists in the Bundesliga. And I will go for combinations here, Edu, because I think that it's interesting to squeeze a little bit more money from the odds. And the truth is that Napoli to win 153 is, for example, good enough for a safe bet, and even for an ACCA. But on its own, it looks a little bit lame, considering that Napoli are the biggest proposition in Europe right now, or one of the biggest. So I could go for Napoli to win and over 1.5 goals, and that will increase it to 173. Or for example, a double chance for Napoli in this game and over 2.5 goals in the game, which I believe that it's a possibility that doubles up your bet as well. As you see, I'm not taking any risk with Napoli, a double chance for them, but then over 2.5 goals will be the risky factor. But altogether, you put it, I don't think that is so risky, what I'm saying, and that doubles up your bet. The truth is that Napoli, for me, are the most entertaining team in Europe altogether with Benfica right now, even more than Arsenal, I will say. And the goal that Kvaratskhelia scored the other day is beautiful because, you know, in the box, very few players have the pose. You know, I can see many players, even some of the best, like, for example, Kevin De Bruyne, when they get in the box, suddenly they don't have that pose, that calm just to do what they have to do. And Kvaratskhelia, in that aspect, reminds me, for example, of a footballer like Diego Tristan or Butragueño. I'm talking about two Spanish geniuses that were capable of just slowing down when they get in the box. And the goal he scored the other day was beautiful, really. And, you know, I think that Frankfurt are going through a rough patch right now. So there are no many reasons to back Frankfurt, aside from the fact that in the Champions League, they got 2 wins and 1 loss away. Their only loss was against Tottenham, but they won two games in the group stage. But in 2023, as Daniele said, they got only 1 win in the last 5 games. We can rephrase that and say that they are winless in the last 4 games. In 2023, they got 4 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats. That's why they are dropping slowly in the Bundesliga table. And right now they are 6th. And they are also, and this is something pretty remarkable, the 12th side in the Bundesliga in shots produced. I have in my mind a memory of Frankfurt being more attacking-sided. For some reason this year, they are not doing it that much.
No,
they're
doing better than last season, because they scored already 46 goals in Bundesliga, and last season they scored 45 in the entire season. So they're a bit better, but perhaps they are more clinical. But yeah, as you said, they're not taking many shots at all.
No, but of course, and they are clinical, and sometimes the shots you produce in a game, they are not representative of how good you are playing, you know, because sometimes it's the effectiveness and the conversion rate what counts better, right? But I think that Frankfurt this season are not as good as last season. That's why I'm going to back Napoli, and I finish with all this. Look, Kvaratskhelia to score or assist, Caradona, I'm going to say that, to score or assist, 167. I like this one a lot. But Napoli and over 1.5 goals in the game, Napoli to win, and over 1.5 goals in the game, 173.
I think it's more difficult to write Kvaratskhelia than saying it even, but we can say also Caradona. Well, Napoli for sure really favorite. You have to be creative to find good odds. Most of our people are going for Napoli to win. And we have a question for you guys. Adamin is asking you, your favorite team to win the Champions League at this moment of the season?
For me, it's still Bayern Munich. But I would love to see Napoli, Benfica. I'm not going to say as a final because probably it's difficult, but at least as a semi-final. I would love to see.
Mm-hmm. I like Bayern, and I think that that's very clever by Daniele, but I'm going to go for Real Madrid.
Well, let's talk about Real Madrid then. Alvaro, we have Real Madrid, Liverpool on Wednesday. What a game we saw at Anfield. I think I almost suffered a heart attack in the first 15 minutes. But then Real Madrid woke up from the dead, as they usually do. My first question to Alvaro is, in recent history, for instance, we saw Chelsea going 3-0 at Bernabeu after the defeat in Stamford Bridge. We saw Juventus 3-0 at Bernabeu after the 3-0 defeat at the Juventus Stadium. I remember also Schalke being very close to kick out Real Madrid in a knockout stage game. Perhaps Liverpool, and with his rock and roll, do they have a chance if they take the lead at Bernabeu?
Look, Edu, they could make it, okay? Because Liverpool is a very weird side this season. You just have to check their numbers in the Premier League, all right? They have a really positive goal difference in the Premier League, which I will tell you exactly the numbers right now. But their positive goal difference just comes from 2 individual games. Beating Manchester United 7-0 and beating Bournemouth 9-0. They've got a plus 18 goal difference in the Premier League. But without those 2 games, they will have only a +2. And that +2 explains better the season of Liverpool than the +18 they've got. Sometimes they are brilliant. They've been capable of beating Napoli, even though Napoli was already qualified for the next stage of the Champions League. They've been capable of beating Manchester City. They've been capable of scoring many goals in a few games. But then this weekend they lost to Bournemouth, and Mohamed Salah took a ridiculous penalty. I think that he thought he was in a training or something, in a training session, because you don't take penalties like this normally. He went for glory and didn't work for him. But yeah, Liverpool, they are dangerous. They are dangerous. And we have seen Real Madrid sometimes not knowing exactly how to deal with these games in which they got it in their hand, but at the same time, Real Madrid is not by nature the defensive side. And then it's difficult sometimes to have a game plan when you are 5-2 ahead after the first leg. But, I think that Real Madrid is going to qualify. I really think that they will do it. And of course, they have gone through a difficult period at the beginning of March. That difficult period was over after they beat Espanyol in the weekend comfortably, with Vinicius scoring again. Let's see if Karim Benzema is 100% for this game, because this is very important for Real Madrid. And I suspect that at some point, Carlo Ancelotti is going to give the baton and the trust to the important players of Real Madrid that they have been so pivotal for them in the recent success over the last 5 years. So expect the names that you know spending a lot of time on the game, on the grass, just playing football. I mean, more than Ceballos and more than Asensio and more than some other players that you may think that they are important for Real Madrid now because they are young, but the veterans are still very important, pivotal for Carlo Ancelotti. For this game, I'm going to go for the following. I think that Vinicius to score or assist 191 is a little bit of a chocolate in there. I mean, something that I will take capriciously and I will eat myself, because I think that is fantastic. Trent Alexander-Arnold will be marking him, and Vinicius normally gets the best of him. He has scored 3 goals in his last 2 games against Liverpool, so why not to think that Vinicius can score or assist 191. There is another one that I like here. Liverpool is going to attack. Salah is going to take the majority of the shots. So Salah to have 2 or more shots on target in the game, that pays 2.5. As you can see, the individual market is something that appeals me for this game. But if I go to the team market, I will show that over 1.5 goals in the second half of this game is my favorite, 173, because Real Madrid in the second half, they are doing very well this season, and I can back that too. But if you want to go for the full-time market, well, I guess that the double chance for Real Madrid 147 can be interesting. But I am more than happy to stay where I stayed from the very beginning, in the individual market. Vinicius to score or assist 191, or Salah to have 2 or more shots on target 2.5.
And Dani, seeing the crazy game we watched at Anfield 3 weeks ago, having in mind that we have Klopp on one side and that Liverpool, they just need to attack and they have offensive players to do that, should we expect a goal feast? Perhaps we see, again, 5-6 goals at Bernabeu?
Definitely more than 2.5. In fact, the odds for over 2.5 goals are not very high. I think Liverpool could be dangerous because on the night, a team that has got nothing to play for almost with such a big quality could be still dangerous. It's going to be weird for Liverpool to go there and basically just hope to score the first goal, but that could make them a little bit lighter and a little bit more dangerous. The thing with Liverpool is that recent history has shown us that somehow they can only play one way, which is heavy metal, attack football. Even when they were 2-0 up against Real Madrid, they were still playing as if they were 0-0, and that's been their pitfalls this season when defensively not been very good. But in a game like that, when they need to throw the kitchen sink and score 3 goals, they could be dangerous in the terms that I think they could even manage to get a win. But I could expect Real Madrid experience to be enough experience to contain that defeat to 1 goal margin, for example, and obviously do not risk to go outside of the Champions League. Look, Liverpool recently have done better than previously. The 7-0 win against Manchester United is a weird result because every single shot in the second half went in. So really, it was never a 7-0 win. Also because Man United...
Why not, Daniele? Why not? Because if you...
No, I mean,
because that's a reflection of how good their strikers are, isn't it?
Yeah, but some of the goals are pieces of individual brilliance. I mean, No, I mean,
Liverpool
but in any other
will play those players again.
No, but I mean,
they are not going to play with.
But will they be able to hit the target with the same consistency, time in and out? No, I mean, we know that it's a bit freakish, if you like. It can happen, but normally they are not so accurate in front of goals. I think 3-4-0 would have been, or maybe 4-1 would have been a fair reflection of the chances created. Look, I do believe in expected goals. For example, that was around 3.8 to 1, and which is still a very good win for Liverpool.
Look, I believe in expected goals, but at the same time, we cannot apply the expected goals on the same way with every side, because there is not the same thing, an expected goals for a second division side and a Champions League side. So, you know what I mean? The expected goals for Liverpool, that game against Manchester United was over 3, right? But they got great players. That's why it went to 7. And it happens so much in the Premier League, and it happens in La Liga a lot. The expected goals for Barcelona, normally, they are excelled, whereas for the other sides, they are not excelled. So it's a tricky one to call here. What I would say is that Liverpool has danger in them. I'm not saying that they're going to go through.
I agree with you.
But if you score 9 against Bournemouth, if you score 7 against Manchester United, if on your good day you can score 4 easily, let's don't forget that. Maybe Liverpool is in a small decline, but the beast they were, every now and then, reminds us of how good they were. That's all I'm saying.
No,
so that's why Real Madrid should be worried about that, just for that reason.
The premises of my argument is that they can be really, really dangerous on the night. However, the few recent results, you need to take them with a pinch of salt. Also, on the scoring side, but also on the fact that they kept 4 clean sheets in the last 5 in the Premier League, they have conceded chances and big chances in every single game of them, even against Newcastle. After the keeper was sent off, Newcastle had a few chances to score. Yeah. I think the fact that Konate is back with Van Dijk is a good news for them. They're obviously a better partnership, and Konate has been available a lot. Also, Real Madrid, they've got a poor defensive record, but I think this season. But I think the difference is that when Real Madrid has the backs against the wall, they can turn the situation around quickly in games. I read a stats, they recovered 10 points from losing position in La Liga. Only Girona has done better with 12 points recovered. So they are the team of the comeback. They done it last time as well. As I said, I think Liverpool could be dangerous. Liverpool could even win this game, but the experience of Real Madrid will make sure they only win it by a small margin. I'm going to go for a Asian handicap 0 for Liverpool in the first half, 2-12. Which means if Liverpool go out and score the first goal, they might win the first half 2-12. But yeah, I mean, no doubt about it for me that Real Madrid are gonna go through this round.
And there is a
Rick
factor.
is telling you, yeah, something similar.
Quickly.
Liverpool to win the first half. We don't have to forget also the poor form for Liverpool playing away from home.
Oh yeah, 3 wins in 13 Premier League games for Liverpool, and this has been highlighted also. Let's not forget, Liverpool is a team that needs to be rebuilt somehow. They need to sign a new centre-back, 2 new centre defenders, probably a replacement right back, I would say, someone of a good quality as same as Trent. So they need to be rebuilt, and it's not been great. But on the night, like if this is a cup final almost, they could be dangerous.
I think that Liverpool needs only one good midfielder. But they have the good squad for the next 3-4 years, because they have had many injuries as well. And with Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota, the season would have been different, because Darwin and Gakpo, they are totally different players to what Mane, and Salah were. And I think that Liverpool has been also struggling because their most imaginative players, Jota and Luis Diaz, especially on the wings, they haven't been available for a long time. But what I wanted to say is that I think that Vinicius will have a tremendous impact in this game, and even in the development of the actions, for good or for bad. Because, for example, in Anfield, I remember that Real Madrid at some point didn't have any other plan than giving the ball to Vinicius. And Vinicius was gifted that day, and Vinicius was inspired that day, and he made the difference. But if Vinicius is not inspired, I've got the feeling that Real Madrid sometimes struggles to find another way of attacking. And we saw that, for example, against Barcelona in the Spanish Cup. Araujo marked Vinicius so well that Vinicius didn't know exactly how to deal with that. So Vinicius is going to be fundamental in this game. If he plays well, Real Madrid will have a massive chance of winning the game.
But this game for sure is going to be different because there will be spaces for Real Madrid to hit on the back of Liverpool defense. So I guess we will see many goals. By the way, I like the odds for Liverpool to take the lead. I think we haven't mentioned this. It's 2.1 in case you think the Reds are going to start scoring, something that we've seen, for instance, in the last similar games, the ones I mentioned at the beginning, for instance, Juve and Chelsea and Real Madrid, many times they come into the pitch a little bit slept, so perhaps they can concede the first goal. Well, many odds, many different chances for you to place your bets in the Champions League. Let's see what our experts think is the best bet for this match day in the Champions League. Dani, Fisichella, your best bet?
Manchester City to win, hence to qualify at 142.
And Alvaro?
Napoli to score over 1.5 goals, 157.
We have, by the way, really similar odds for Man City and Napoli to win, really favorites. Real Madrid to win, actually it pays really well, or Porto to win, 2.4 for Real Madrid or 2.7 for Porto. Let's see your ACCA. You've been very successful, as I said at the beginning, lately. So let's try another one, Alvaro.
Yeah, it will be Napoli to score over 1.5 goals, over 4.5 cards in Porto Inter, Napoli to win. Altogether, 4-0-1.
A lot of trust on Napoli, of course. And Dani?
Only two selections. Napoli Eintracht under 2.5 goals, Liverpool to win, 295. That's Liverpool to win. Total odds, 749.
Ooh, Edu is scared now.
Well, I am respecting a European champion. I think you have to respect Liverpool, and Real Madrid will be naive if they don't do it. Of course, I agree totally with you. They are very dangerous. They show it in the first leg. They know that if they are camping to the pitch not fully focused, they can get a couple of goals, very early goals, and why not? We can have a bad night on Wednesday at Bernabeu. Well, a lot to enjoy, of course. Hopefully we make some money also. In the meantime, thank you, Dani. Thanks, Alvaro. Thanks, everyone, of course, for watching. I just want to remind you, exactly, subscribe to our channel. And, of course, tell us your tips. Thank you, guys. See you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.